Alright, so in this video, I'm going to talk about our trip to the London Olympic Park. Now, I'm going to start off first by saying, I didn't explicitly state it in the video, but it's in the description of the basketball video. The London Lions actually play in the Copper Box Arena, which I think was the handball and volleyball, one of the two, or both, venue for the 2012 Olympics. So we had been kind of to the Olympic Park at this point, but not really. Like, kind of been there. Not really toured it, but seen it. And it was dark. It was also nighttime then, too. But on this trip, we actually got to tour the Olympic Village, like where all the athletes lived. We saw the velodrome, which is where all the cycling took place. We saw the aquatic center, where all the swimming took place. And we also saw the Olympic rings and a tour of London Stadium, which you'll see, which is also where West Ham United plays, the Premier League team, which you may or may not see more of in a later video. Hint, hint. Just saying. So this is really cool to see all of these things. An interesting thing about them, they said the whole goal for the London Olympics was to have a sustainability aspect to everything. So when you see the velodrome, you'll see there's people cycling in it when we were there. You can take classes and you can bike in the velodrome if you pass the class to be able to bike on it. You'll see in the aquatic center there are people swimming. The aquatic center for the 2012 Olympics is now a public pool in London. You can get a membership. Swim in there. They have a gym. They have obviously a pool. They have another pool that you don't see in the video. So everything that we saw is still used in some way, shape, or form. A lot of the village is now apartments. They're putting up apartments. Apparently, the whole thing from the Olympics is they took an area of London that was really it was industrial. It was run down. Wasn't the best shape, and now it's a thriving area. It was really cool to see that. So I'll let you all see all the footage of that now, and I'll be back to talk about something else when that's all finished.
Everything changes.
All right, so afterwards, the professor of my class, Barry Gresham, who is a professor at Austin P, had told us that he'd been emailing for like months. One of the main people at BT Sport, which is it's British Telecom is the BT, but they used to be just a telephone provider. But in the past couple of years, they've branched out into sports broadcast, which was what my class was about. And he said he'd been trying to talk to him, like maybe us getting a tour of it or whatever of their studios, but we weren't sure yet. Because their studio is actually in the broadcast center for the Olympics. Whenever the broadcasting people for the Olympics were done, they just left the building. It is a mass. I mean, it's like massive. It was a massive building. And now businesses can move in there and have like office spaces and all that kind of stuff. Again, it's how they're trying to keep the whole legacy of what happened there, keep the buildings up, and all that kind of thing. It's really cool. And it turns out we're like touring through stuff, and he's like, "Okay, so our guy." He's like, "My guys got back to me. We're gonna meet him at 4, and we're gonna tour the studios." I don't have any footage of it because I wasn't. There was a sign says we were supposed to have a camera in there, so I didn't film anything. But it was honestly one of the coolest things I've ever seen. It was BT again. They've only been in there for the past like couple of years. Secured rights to Premier League broadcast, the Champions League, UFC, NBA, MLB, MotoGP, all in England. It's interesting because they're actually a paid service. Like you have to pay in order to get they're premium channels. But like an interesting thing is UFC over there is not pay-per-view. It's broadcast on this channel. Now again, to get that channel, you have to pay a certain amount of money a month. But the UFC, like the pay-per-view seats are just streamed. Like they're broadcast on TV. But we got to see their studio. At the time that we were there, they were doing a dress rehearsal for their show Rugby Tonight, which is rugby is I think is another massive sport in the UK. When we were there again during that dress rehearsal, the guy that was like leading us around said there were 2 World Cup of Rugby champions on the stage. Like when we were there, like we saw them. Another thing that was interesting to me about BT Sport is they're very big on the technical aspect of broadcast. They were the first people to ever actually broadcast in 4K. They did. It was a Champions League or FA Cup. They did a 4K broadcast, and then one of the only studios in the world that does actual 4K broadcasts, which to me was fascinating. I was talking to the guy just about like the data that goes having to do that, that is required to actually broadcast in 4K. So I have to tip my hat to our professor Barry Gresham, who teaches at Austin P. It was honestly one of the coolest things that we did. Was the tour of these studios. It was absolutely crazy. So yeah, I think that's it for this video. I don't know if there's anything else that we did that day that I can remember. So see you in the next video, which is St. George's Park, and you'll see that soon. All right.